The courtroom is sterile, hushed, with muted colors and polished wood. A few people sit scattered on the benches. Judge Olivia Parker, late 40s, composed, dignified, sits at the bench reading case files. The bailiff steps forward. Bailiff, Case 47B, City of Newbridge versus Elias Carter. Elias Carter, 69, slouched and weathered, slowly rises. His military coat is too big, frayed at the seams. His voice is a gravelly whisper. Elias Carter, Staff Sergeant, United States Marine Corps. A murmur passes through the room. The clerk glances up, surprised. Judge Parker freezes as she reads the name on the file. A flicker of recognition crosses her face, but she composes herself. Prosecutor, 30s, crisp suit, polished. Your Honor, the defendant has received multiple citations for trespassing behind Jefferson Street Cafe. The owner has filed several complaints. He pauses, glancing at Elias. Prosecutor, continued. We recommend 30 days of community service and a no trespass order for downtown. Elias shifts uncomfortably. He looks around as if trying to shrink. Judge Parker, Mr. Carter, do you have legal representation? No, ma'am. My public defender got pulled into another case. Judge Parker, would you like to speak on your behalf? Elias, small nod. I was cold, ma'am. Jimmy at the cafe gives me scraps sometimes. His father served with me. The judge's face hardens, not with judgment, but something deeper, memory. She presses her lips together. Suddenly, the courtroom doors open. A sharp-dressed man enters briskly. Alexander Ross, 40s, confident, elegant. Your Honor, Alexander Ross, I've just been retained to represent Mr. Carter. Judge Parker, Mr. Ross, this is highly unorthodox. Ross, I understand, Your Honor. I request a brief recess to speak with my client. Judge Parker stares, then nods. Judge Parker, 15 minutes, recess. In Judge's chambers, moments later. Judge Parker removes her glasses, hands trembling. She opens a drawer, pulling out a worn photo. A young Marine officer with his arm around her, her brother, Jack Parker. She takes out an old letter, edges frayed. Jack's voice echoes in her mind. Jack, if not for Staff Sergeant Carter, I wouldn't be writing this. He carried me out under fire. There's a knock. Ross enters. Ross, Olivia, it's him, Carter, the Marine from Jack's letters. She nods slowly, fighting emotion. Judge Parker, I need to do this. For Jack, for Carter. In courtroom, later. The room quiets as Judge Parker returns. 3 Marines enter with her. A colonel, a master sergeant, and a corporal, holding a wooden case. Judge Parker, Mr. Ross, has your client made a decision? Yes, Your Honor. We request dismissal. Mr. Carter was trying to survive the freeze. We have testimony he had implied permission to be there. Judge Parker, Mr. Carter, your record shows service in Fallujah, April 2004. Did you rescue Lieutenant Jack Parker? Elias stiffens. The name lands hard. Elias, yes, ma'am. He was hit trying to save a medic. Told me to leave him, but I didn't. A silver-haired Marine in the gallery stands. Silver-haired Marine. That's Staff Sergeant Carter. I was there. He saved 6 of us. The room stirs. The judge taps her gavel. Judge Parker. Order. She turns to Elias. When I return, Mr. Carter, there are matters beyond this case we must discuss. Judge's chambers, moments later. She picks up the phone, hands still shaking. Judge Parker. Colonel Matthews, it's Olivia Parker. I need a favor, urgently. Courtroom, 10 minutes later. The Marines flank the bench. The corporal opens the wooden case, revealing a folded flag, medals, and a citation. The colonel steps forward. Colonel, Mr. Carter, by order of the United States Marine Corps, we present this recognition for valor and service. Elias is stunned, his eyes wet. He stands tall, pride and humility etched across his face. Judge Parker, Mr. Carter, you are not a burden, you are a hero. This court dismisses all charges. She steps down from the bench, offering her hand. Judge Parker continued, welcome home. Muscle memory guided Judge Olivia Parker to her seat, but today she didn't reach for her glasses. Instead, she set them aside, an intentional break from tradition. She looked out across the packed courtroom. For the first time in her judicial career, she spoke not as a judge, but as a person. Judge Parker, before we proceed, I need to share something personal. All eyes turned to her. She locked eyes with the defendant, Elias Carter. Judge Parker, the Lieutenant Jack Parker referenced in today's testimony, that was my brother. Gasps rippled through the room. Elias's brow furrowed. Recognition flickered in his eyes. Judge Parker, 20 years ago, my brother wrote home from Fallujah. He spoke of a staff sergeant who saved his life, who ran through enemy fire, pulled him to safety, then held off the ambush so the rest of the unit could escape. She paused. Her voice was steady, but her eyes glistened. Judge Parker, that man was you, Sergeant Elias Carter. A Marine in dress uniform stepped forward from the gallery. Marine, it's true, I was there. Carter took 2 rounds dragging the lieutenant to safety. Judge Parker gave a slow, reverent nod. Judge Parker, 2 weeks later, Jack was killed. At his funeral, Marines came to my family, not just to honor him, but to thank the man who gave us 2 more weeks with him, time we never would have had. She looked down, collecting herself. Judge Parker, after Jack died, I tried to find you. The Corps said you'd redeployed. Years later, I learned you'd been discharged. No one knew where you'd gone. Elias remained still, silent, but his face spoke volumes. Judge Parker, I never stopped searching. And now, whether by fate or something greater, you walked into my courtroom. She gestured to a colonel standing nearby. Judge Parker, this is Colonel James Matthews. He commanded my brother's unit. He has something to share. The colonel stepped forward, formal and composed. Colonel Matthews, Staff Sergeant Carter, the Marine Corps has been trying to locate you. Under the Veterans Reconsideration Initiative, your file was reviewed. New intelligence regarding your deployments warranted updates to your commendations and benefits. The corporal beside him opened a polished wooden case. Inside, a medal resting on navy velvet. By order of the Secretary of the Navy, in recognition of extraordinary valor on April 17, 2004, the Navy Cross is hereby awarded to Staff Sergeant Elias J. Carter. The room froze. The Navy Cross, second only to the Medal of Honor. Your actions that day didn't just save Lieutenant Parker and 5 Marines. You disrupted a coordinated ambush that could have wiped out the entire convoy. Your Silver Star has been formally upgraded. Elias's jaw tightened. His voice barely rose above a whisper. There must be some mistake. I didn't do anything special. I just did my job. No mistake, Sergeant. This is long overdue. A voice rang from the gallery with crisp, commanding authority. Attention on deck! The Marines stood at attention, and slowly others followed. Veterans, officers, even civilians. One by one, the entire courtroom rose to salute Elias Carter. Even the prosecutor stood, torn between duty and decency. Judge Parker wiped away tears she could no longer contain. Judge Parker, in light of these extraordinary developments, all charges against Staff Sergeant Elias Carter are hereby dismissed. She brought the gavel down hard. Judge Parker, this courtroom is adjourned. NT courtroom, minutes later. A master sergeant approached Elias, holding a tablet. Sir, we've updated your VA records. Your disability rating has been reassessed. 100% service-connected, retroactive to your original discharge date. What does that mean? Full back pay, medical coverage, housing, educational benefits, everything. Going forward. Ross, Elias's attorney, stepped beside him. Our firm will make sure it all gets processed. No more red tape. From the back of the room, Jimmy, the cook from the cafe, stepped forward. My dad always told me, if I ever met a man named Elias Carter, I owed him everything. I never knew that man was you. Not until today. He extended a trembling hand. Elias took it. Even the prosecutor approached, visibly shaken. Prosecutor, sir, I had no idea. Please accept my deepest apologies for how this was handled. Elias stood in the center of the courtroom, back straight, eyes clear, as if a lifetime of unseen weight had finally lifted. Judge Parker stepped down from the bench. There was no robe now, no barrier. She stopped in front of him. She just said her name. Jude. My brother once told us what you said to him that day. No Marine gets left behind, not while I'm breathing. Today, Sergeant Carter, we finally keep that promise to you. NT Veteran Housing Unit 2 weeks later. A quiet apartment. Bare walls, simple furniture. Elias Carter stood before a mirror, adjusting to a new life that still felt surreal. Mounted on the wall behind him, flanked by a Purple Heart, a Bronze Star, and other service medals. Recovered, tracked down by Ross, rescued from a storage locker sold off years ago. A knock at the door. He opened it to find Olivia Parker, not in robes, just Olivia. She held a small box. Olivia. May I come in, Sergeant Carter? Elias. Just Elias is fine. Then it's just Olivia. They sat opposite one another, the silence between them full of meaning. Olivia. I brought something. She opened the box, a bundle of worn letters, carefully tied with twine. Olivia. They're from Jack. He wrote us weekly while deployed. This one's dated the day after you saved him. She handed it over. Elias unfolded the page with trembling hands. Elias, reading. Mom, Dad, don't worry about the news. I'm safe. Thanks to one of our NCOs. Staff Sergeant Carter did something I still can't believe. He moved through fire like it didn't exist, refused to leave me behind, said, no Marine gets left behind, not on my watch. His voice cracked. He couldn't go on. Olivia. He mentioned you often, said you were the Marine he wanted to be. Elias. He was a good officer. Young, but he cared. That's rare. After Jack died, I went to law school. This courtroom, the housing initiative, the Veterans Court program. It all started because of what he wrote, about you, about how the system forgets its own. Elias shifted, uneasy. Elias. I'm not a hero. I just did what needed doing. Olivia. That's exactly what heroes say. She hesitated. Olivia. The day Jack died, he volunteered for a mission to track insurgents targeting civilians. In his final letter, he said, I want to live up to the example Sergeant Carter set. That sentence hit Elias harder than any battlefield wound. 20 years of doubt came rushing back. Elias. All this time, I wondered if saving him had been a mistake, a cruel delay. Olivia. He didn't die because of you. He lived the way he did because of you. They sat in silence, 2 lives intertwined by war, sacrifice, and memory. Outside, snow began to fall, soft and steady. Elias finally spoke. Elias. I used to sleep on sidewalks thinking no one remembered, like none of it mattered. Olivia. But it did. To Jack, to every Marine you saved, and to me. She stood, placing a hand gently on his shoulder. Olivia. Jack once said, the measure of a Marine isn't what he does when people are watching.
It's what he does when no one is. Beat. You lived that, even when the world forgot. Elias stood tall, taller than he had in years, a quiet strength returning to his frame. Elias. Someone remembered my name. After all this time, someone remembered.